So like and subscribe if you want to. If not, that's fine. Free agency's been going for about an hour and a half now, and Deiron Fox got a max contract, which I shouldn't have been surprised to see, but for some reason I was surprised. I don't really know why. It's $163 million over 5 years with clauses that can get it up to the $195 million supermax, which I'm pretty sure is like all NBA appearances, however many it has to be. It might just be one, I don't know exactly, but yeah, we'll see if Deiron Fox can get there. I mean, the first thing to think about is just how good can Deiron Fox be? Unfortunately, this previous season was kind of stripped away from him a little bit because of injuries. He ended up at 51 games. He would have, of course, had more if the season hadn't been cut short the way it was. Fox is really, really good at getting downhill. His free throw attempts have gotten up to 7 a game. His creativity with the ball, his abilities in transition, all that. You'd think that type of stuff alone could lead to Fox consistently being amongst the better point guards in the NBA, but the guy just got a max contract, and while a lot of guys get a max, you would hope that this means he could be a perennial all-star, a consistent all-NBA candidate at least, and I think it's fair to say that if he's going to get to that level, there are some other things he's going to have to work on. The shooting is pretty much the big one. I mean, 29% from 3 after a pretty all-right jump in his second year from 3. His mid-range shooting, it was actually kind of amazing from long two-point range, but he didn't take too many of those. He took more shots at the basket this year, which is nice, but I feel like it would be cool if the guy would just have a more reliable pull-up jumper as well. And as far as Fox's shooting is concerned, I don't know. He could be like John Wall, where he's just never going to get to that level as a shooter, to where teams are going to be glued to him from outside, and he's going to be able to consistently make threes off the dribble and pick and rolls if you decide to drop on him. And also, can he ever get to a point where he can just make contested threes with a guy in his face or whatever? I mean, in college, Fox was not good from 3. His rookie year got a little better, second year a little better, then he had a regression this previous season. So we're just going to have to see. I mean, as far as his form is concerned, it seems all right. I mean, it's the bit of the classic lefty sort of slingshot form. I don't think he hesitates too hard on them. I mean, it's not his go-to, but I don't think he's scared to attempt threes. He at least increased his three-point attempts this season, so I think that's a sign that he's working on them and he feels all right on them, even if they didn't go in as much. So we'll see with those. His free throws have been kind of similar. He shot 70% from the free throw line this year, which is the worst of his career so far. I think it might have even been worse than his 1 year in college. It was by a little bit. So he simply just has to make these, because if he's not going to, then it does get a bit tougher to see the pathway for him really being a max contract guy. Not that I'm blaming Sacramento for giving him this, because what else were they going to do? So we'll just see. I mean, the only way that he could make up for that is if he's going to be an all-defense guy, if he's probably going to grab more rebounds, progress a little bit more as a playmaker, which I think all those things are possible. I think Fox can be an awesome defender. And I think you could even say that he has been that at times. I believe he got one all-defense second-team vote in his second season, so take that for whatever you will. Will Fox ever be thought of as one of the best passers in the league? I don't know. I mean, he's certainly above average, and I think he's good enough of a passer as a lead ball handler. But at the same time, if the shooting never really comes around, then maybe the fact that he's not an awesome... Well, is he an awesome passer? I don't know. He's certainly better than good as a passer. It might not be good enough, though, if the shooting is never really what you want it to be. So I guess that's just kind of the heart of where Deiron Fox is going to be. Is he really going to live up to that max contract and be a 25, 26 point a game guy because his shooting gets better and all that? Or is he going to be this sort of high teens, low 20s scorer who can get downhill and be a really likable player and all that, but deep down you're like, well, this isn't really a max guy, but we still like having him anyway. We'll have to see. Now, of course, another part of this is everything going on with the Sacramento Kings. If you look at their next few seasons, I mean, Fox's extension will kick in 2022. It's going to be over $30 million, so that kind of takes them out of the running for free agents right there, although there's some opportunity between Corey Joseph's non-guaranteed getting turned down and a lot of the guys that will be gone at that point, not really essential. But of course, Marvin Bagley is pretty crucial here in my opinion. I think depending on Bagley's development, that's really going to help Fox, because if Bagley can be a real threat in pick and rolls and maybe pick and pops if he can develop the shooting, then that's just going to make Deiron Fox's day easier, and it's going to look a little better when we fast forward 3 years and Fox is making over $30 million if Marvin Bagley is just making it easy on him. When he's rolling to the basket, defenses have to care about him as well as Fox. And if you think about if Fox has progressed his shooting as well, then it could get really tough to defend both of them. So that's kind of the heart of it. Buddy will always be a good floor spacer for Fox. Assuming Buddy wants to play in Sacramento, we're going to have to see there. It might make sense for them to hold on to Bielitsa. I think he's a pretty solid stretch four. Harrison Barnes spaces the floor out. The team has talent. It's just in the Western Conference, if you don't have a top-tier player, then it's pretty tough to compete like that. So we'll see with all that stuff. Now we got to talk about Luke Walton, who is still the coach of the Kings at this moment. Luke Walton, I would consider him among the bottom tier of coaches in the league. I think his offense is not too creative. I also think some of the personality stuff between Buddy Hield and his problems this year and just whatever else. I don't remember everything. If you want a full Luke Walton breakdown, go to the Sacramento Kings subreddit. They'll tell you all about it. It's not great, basically. And I think it's fair to question whether Luke Walton is the right coach for Sacramento. We'll just have to see. If you want to be nice, you could just say, well, the Bagley and Fox injuries at the beginning of the season just set this team up for failure right away. And to be nice, during their first couple of weeks when those two were out, the Kings did have a lot of competitive games. They were losing, but it was a lot of 1 or 2 point losses rather than blowouts, if that means anything. The other thing that Luke Walton did, I remember this now, is that he took the fastest team in the league and he made them a whole lot slower. I think the Kings are probably going to have to get back to that if they want a real edge over a lot of the other teams in the league. But if we get back to Fox now, if none of his clauses end up being a thing in the contract and it's basically $32 million annually or however it would be, that would make him, as of right now, the 18th highest paid player in the league, which I guess is fair. I don't think he's the 18th best player, but I think he has potential to be that good. And I think if you made me predict where will De'Aaron Fox rank in the NBA if we fast forward, we'll say by the second year of that max contract, which is 3 seasons from now, I think Fox can strive to be about the 15th best player in the NBA. And I give him that because he did make some real improvements to his shooting in his second season, and then for whatever reason it fell off a bit this year. So, yeah, do I think Fox can be a top 10 guy, superstar, elite player? No. Overall, I think this is a good move for Sacramento. It was a necessary move. I mean, this is just how it is in the NBA now. If a guy's kind of on the fringe of like, well, how good is he really going to be? But he's clearly pretty good and he's going to get better. A lot of the time, you get a max extension and that's what it is. So again, like and subscribe if you want to. And that's it.